Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode today here on the Growing Green podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and we are rocking and rolling with another episode today. This one is going to be fast. It's going to be high energy. It's going to be packed because we have the honor of having Weston Zimmerman on with us today, founder of SynkedUP. I guess CEO of SynkedUP is that what you call yourself?
That's what they're calling me, yep.
All right. Well, appreciate you coming on today, man. This is going to be, like I said, we got a hard stop at 1:30, so this is going to be an action-packed the next 25 minutes here. But what we want to get into is we made the announcement last week that we switched over to SynkedUP. I'm so excited about this decision. This is something I've been mulling over and thinking about for the last couple of months, figuring out a way to know my numbers better because we all preach know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers, but let's be honest, probably 60% of you maybe actually really know your numbers. A lot of us are just guessing, and that's just the time that we're living in. And so we want to know our numbers the best way we can, and we needed a software that was going to help us do that, and we decided that SynkedUP was going to be the best way to help us. So, Weston, what have you got for us today, man? I know I'm excited for this. We're just going to rock and roll. I want to really talk about how lawn care guys can benefit from SynkedUP. That's really the aspect that we want to tackle today. And so if you're listening, if this stuff interests you, numbers interest you, be excited because we're going to have multiple podcasts to come here in the future as we head into the spring about just this whole process of SynkedUP onboarding, everything that looks like, and then how it's helping us in our business because we try to be as open and as transparent here on the show as we can. And so that was another reason of me doing this was like, hey, let me do it. Let's work through this in the winter, and then heading into the spring, we can say this has worked for us. This is how our numbers are so dialed in like they never have been before. And in the future, we can really help some other people out. So let's get into it a little bit. I wanted to really tackle the topic I want to hit on today is why should lawn maintenance business owners, primarily lawn maintenance business owners, switch to a software as SynkedUP? Because SynkedUP, Element, a lot of the other softwares are known primarily as design build softwares. That's just right. That's just what they come across as because job costing, things like that. That's what such a backbone of the software. But to me, we had God, I don't know, 2-3 conversations, an hour long a piece of why this is a good fit and why we can kind of change the mold of the whole lawn maintenance industry if we kind of do this thing together. And so I'm looking forward to it. But take it away. Tell me what we had a little bit off-air conversation, and I was like, stop. We need to get into the interview because you're already dropping value. So what to you is the value of, hey, why should a lawn maintenance company business owner look at some type of software like SynkedUP? Like what is the value we're gonna receive from it? Because that's what we're all about is if I'm investing money like this into a software, what is the value? What is my return gonna be?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go back to a little bit what you touched on right in the intro, which is like and a little bit of what the conversation we were having, which was, what the value is in actually moving away from saying, well, I charge X. Well, where'd you get that number? Well, I just kind of base it on what my competition's charging, and I think I'm making money at this. And there's a whole lot of assuming and best educated guesses. And that's not to say the best educated guesses is flat out wrong. There's a lot of you that are pretty good, have done it a long time, and are pretty close with where you're at. But it's moving off of the gut feeling to actually basing your pricing off of real numbers, meaning like we're not just charging $65 an hour because we feel like that's where I want to make. We're charging $65 an hour because I know that after I cover all my overhead expenses that it costs me to be in business, pay for my trucks and trailers and mowers, that's what I have to have. And if I buy another mower, oh, by the way, that becomes 68 or, whatever that is. And it's moving away from the lick your finger and hold it up in the wind and see which way the wind's blowing from that world, and moving to data in, data out.
Yeah.
I plug in my numbers, and this is what I got to charge. I tweak my numbers, and it tweaks what I got to charge.
Yeah.
And it's removes the emotion out of it. That's the biggest. That's where the journey starts, and it kind of evolves from there. There's more dominoes to crush down the road, but that's kind of the conversation we're having right now with your onboarding experience in SynkedUP. And it makes me curious, Jeremiah, like, in the process of putting your information in and then reviewing what it gave back to you, were there any like, oh, wow, or I never thought of it like that, or like, were there any moments at all like that in your time so far?
Yeah, 100%. So what Weston's referring to is we're in the process of the onboarding process now. We're kind of coming towards the end of it here, wrapping that up tomorrow, hopefully. But it's gonna take a couple of weeks to just get everything figured out, all the kinks worked out. It's been a super smooth process so far. To me, and we talked about this beforehand, is the budget building is one of the most transformative things that I think could happen in your business. Is, like you're saying, take the emotion out of what you're doing, and it's not. I don't know. The reason that it hits home to me is like, it's not just looking at your bank account and seeing, oh, I have $10,000 in there, oh, I have $4,000 in there. It's like, hey, let's make a plan for the year ahead, and let's like put actual numbers in place. And it's not just like, hey, are we going to have enough money to make payroll this month? It's let's make a plan for the future year of like. But it's not just a guessing plan. Like there's actually there's data behind it. There's data to back that up. And to me, the things that stuck out were like labor. And this is, I'm being an open book. Some of you might be like, well, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know how to run a business. And maybe that's the case. But I'm in year 4. I'm haven't been running for 10 years. So still figuring things out as we go. But one of the biggest things for me was like, that hit me in the face was figuring out how much labor we actually worked in a year, how many billable hours we actually had. That was something that I never really sat down and figured that up. And getting on the call with Chris, the guy that was helping me with my budget building, things like that, he was like, well, this is what we see industry standard wise. And that's just not information that you typically, like, I just didn't know that stuff. But through the process of building the budget, it was, this is how much you work 1,500, 2,000 hours. But I think in my budget we put 1,500 hours was, I think, pretty much what we budgeted in here for everything to build everything out was 1,500 hours in labor. And so it's figuring out what your unbillable versus billable hours are. Those were things that were shocking to me. It was like how do we actually recover those unbillable hours? And it was just not only how do we recover the unbillable hours, but how do we get rid of the unbillable hours? How do we become more efficient?
Exactly. Like, unbillable hours is you're not going to ever get completely rid of them. No. But you also don't want to be completely mindless.
Exactly.
And ignoring efficiency problems and that kind of thing, because, where you're at in the journey right now, we're making some educated guesses based on industry standards onto like how many billable hours you have in a year. But a year from now, we're going to be looking at your actual numbers and saying, oh, you had 327 unbillable hours, and you had 1,432 billable hours. And then the whole point of it is once you know that information, now well, that means I've got to generate enough of revenue to cover all my costs, cover my overhead, and make a little money, pay myself and do my profit, all in that 1,432 hours. Yep. Or maybe that goes up or down. Or you hire some people and your billable hours goes up. But building a budget. Derek from Tassi Landscaping told it to me the other day, and I was like, that was a good analogy. He said, building a budget is basically like bidding one big massive job, pretending all the work you do in a single year is one big fat job. Yeah. And you're putting all of your costs into that estimate for that one big fat job, including all of your overhead expenses, the internet, your shop rent, your fuel, your trucks, your trailer, your tires, everything, your equipment maintenance. Like, you're putting everything in there because you're going to have to pay for it during the time that you're doing that one big job, so to speak. But then the reality is you break that down and you're doing dozens, if not hundreds of jobs throughout the year. But you've done the work of building a budget to make sure that when you price that one of hundreds of jobs that you're going to do that year, that it's priced correctly. So you add all those hundreds of jobs together and you end up with enough of funds to cover your costs, recover your overhead, and make a profit.
Yeah, making profit is what is the key statement in there. Is
Yes.
how we're not just doing this for fun, like, and we're not doing it to break even either. Like,
exactly. If you're going to do that, you may as well go get a job at a warehouse or something. You know, why take the stress and the risk of being in business for no profit? And on that point, you know, I talk to hundreds of business owners, and without fail, at every show or whatever, I run into someone that says, "Oh yeah, I made 150 grand last year." And like, "Oh wow, that's pretty good. How do you know that?" "Well, that's what I had left in my bank account after I, you know." It's like, well, actually, did you pay yourself anything on payroll or owner's withdrawals or anything? No. Well, then that 150 grand is actually not your profit. Let's say you made yourself 50 grand, or you paid yourself 50 grand or 100 grand, whatever the number is. Your business only made in profit whatever was left after you paid yourself. What you pay yourself is not the business's profit, because essentially, in most cases, you as the owner are doing the work of making the business go forward and earn a dollar every day. So if you stop working, then the business stops. So you know, the more mature businesses are graduate beyond that, but that's where a lot of people are in the beginning stages of their business journey. And so it's really, really important that not only are you making sure the business is making a profit, but the business is making a profit after it's paid you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is groundbreaking for guys that are young in business. I think it's not years 1, 2, 3, 4. You're probably not gonna see a ton of profit coming in. Now,
that's right.
Now you're just heavily reinvesting. It's just part of the game. Like you reinvest. You take a little bit of owner's draws or profit or whatever you want to call it. Some people start W-2 early on and you get paid, and so it depends on how you set up your company, but. When you get into where I'm at, like I just finished up year 4, I'm heading into year 5. Like I'm at a pivotal point, 5, 6, 7 in the next 3 years here, where like I need to see some serious profit start coming in. Like I'm tired of seeing like $5,000 at the end of the year or whatever your number is in your bank account. It's time to see, hey, I actually got paid this much, and then there's money left over in the account, and.
Right.
And for me, so I'm in the position now where we are trying to scale the company a little bit next year, and that was part of this budgeting. This budget almost double what I did this year in revenue. Like it's a very hefty budget. Like it's a lot of stuff it's a lot more revenue to generate. It's a lot more expenses that I see here that we got to get, that we're gonna have to cover. And so for me, it's like, hey, this is all the data that we've entered in, and back to the hours thing. So I got them pulled up. We're budgeting 2,000 hours is what we're going to work. 2,000 hours worked per year, but typically, what is it? $500 of unbillable hours. That's typically, at least that's what we built in our budget. Chris said that was like an industry standard of you got to fit 2,000 hours into 1,500.
I would say I would shoot for 5 to 10% of your total payroll hours being unbillable.
Okay.
But there's definitely cases where, you know, we're reeling it back from maybe it's 25% or 20%, and you're kind of iteratively bringing it down. And trying to get more efficient, you know. Yeah.
So that's what we did for mine, and it's just, but so I'm trying to work my way out of the field as well to go sell, to do things like that. So I have part of my salary is in the total hours worked per year, and it's part of the billable hours, but then the part of my salary is in unbillable hours. So it's in overhead because I'm not going to be out in the field producing the revenue anymore. So for me, that was also huge, was figuring that out of like, hey, part of my salary is going to be not actually producing the field. So how are we going to make that up? And where is that other revenue going to be covered? And that, I mean, not revenue, but where is that cost going to be covered? And by building more revenue. And it's all things to me that are like, this is stuff that everyone should be doing. I shouldn't have done it in year 4. I should have done it in year 2, because like if you do it in year 2 or year 1, then year 3 and 4 shouldn't be so hard. You should be seeing more profits.
I don't care if you're building birdhouses and selling them at the local farmers market.
Literally.
You should still be doing a budget. Yeah, there's less numbers and the numbers are smaller, but you know, you're still buying a hammer and nails and wood, and you got to cover all of that, right? And so it's not like, oh, I don't need to build a budget until I'm mature, or have kind of overcome the startup grind. No, it's better to know, what we were saying just before we started recording, like there's a sense of relief that comes over you once you just know. And you've laid aside assumptions and gut feelings, and you just put in the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. And now, well, I got to produce X to cover all my costs. And here's the other thing that happens sometimes. The very first time you build a budget is we tend to get excited about the business we're building and the grind and the hustle, and we're investing back in the business. And it's really easy. This happens a lot. It's really easy to get into a position where you're spending too much money for the amount of revenue you have. Like I talk to businesses that are maybe doing $1 million in revenue and they have 25 guys and a fleet of trucks. I'm like, guys, you're not, there's no way under the sun you're making money.
Yeah.
You just have, your costs are too high. But the thing is like, there's all kinds of reasons for why that can happen. But the point I want to make is we tend to spend more money than we realize. Oh yeah, I forgot about those $1,200 I spent in t-shirts. And yeah, I forgot about those $1,000 I gave in client gifts last year at Christmas, and we tend to spend more money than we realize. And we can get into a situation where we spend ourselves into barely breaking even.
Yep.
Like back when you did your cool little spreadsheet or you talked with your buddies about what I'm going to charge this year per hour. And when the cash is there, you're buying that new mower, you're buying that new trailer, you're getting this new blower, whatever it is, and you're spending yourself all the way down to the point where like there's no cash in the bank account and you're barely breaking even. And that's because, well, I should say the antidote to that is putting everything into a budget. Say like, dude, I know I got to replace my trailer next year. The old one I have is kind of falling apart. So I'm going to put that in the budget and make sure that that's built into my revenue, my pricing. And just as an example. And when you put every single thing in there, plus give yourself a 10% fudge factor or whatever you want to kind of like, hey, when an opportunity comes up, I want to have the cash there to pounce on it. Put all of that in there. Now you got your pricing for the year. Now the only thing that's left is making sure that you hold yourself accountable to that budget, meaning like if it's not in the budget, don't buy it. Or if you're going to buy it, then turn around and put it into the budget so your pricing automatically reflects the new expense you just added. Because what tends to happen, everything I'm saying here, what I'm trying to lead up to is what tends to happen is we can get into a situation where we're doing, I don't know, 500 grand in revenue, let's say, and we are way too heavy in overhead expenses. Like our overhead burden is so high, there's no way we can make profit by covering our overhead. Like in 500 grand of revenue, there's no money left for profit after you've covered all the overhead expenses. So there's one thing you can do: either produce more revenue by raising your prices or doing more work, or you can reduce your overhead expenses more in line with the revenue that you're producing. Yeah. Those are basically the two levers you can pull. You can increase revenue by raising your prices or doing more work, or decrease the overhead expenses that you have and just watch your pennies a little bit. And we do this in our personal finances. We do this in business. I've been guilty of this. We all have been, where we spend more money than we realize we spent. And we're like, oh, wow. Yeah. That's why I don't have any profit anymore. And the keys out of that prison are, well, be pragmatic about it, put it into a budget. The numbers don't lie, and then make yourself obey that budget. And when fuel doubles, you go and make sure that your budget is updated to reflect that doubling of fuel so that your prices are immediately corrected, so to speak.
How often would you say you would edit a budget? Well, guys, thanks for tuning into the show today, and I'm so excited to be bringing to you a new live event in our industry. It's called Synked Live. It's the second annual event, and it's going to be on February the 6th and the 7th of 2023 at the Cobb Galleria in Atlanta, Georgia. Some of the leaders that are going to be speaking at this event from our industry are Jim McCutcheon, Deborah Cole, Mike Haynes, Jay Worth, Joe Langton, and many more. There's literally probably 10 more on this list that I'm not even reading, so there's going to be a ton of value packed from speakers there. There's also going to be education topics going on in and around the booth at the event. They're going to be talking about recruiting and retaining employees, innovation, automation, and the ROI of automation. There's going to be tons of stuff on that. There's also going to be 70 plus vendors. Now, you don't want to go to a trade show and not see vendors. So like we said, 70 plus vendors. There's going to be vendors pertaining to porcelain paving, natural stone paving, walling systems, smart measurement, robotic mowers, tech, software, everything in between. It's going to be full of value and full of great vendors and exhibits that we get to go look at and try things out for our business and see how we can make our businesses better in the future. So, like I said, it's our second annual event, Synked Live, February 6th and 7th in Atlanta, Georgia. The 6th is a half a day of the show. The full day is on the 7th, on Tuesday. I can't wait to be a part of this. I can't wait to show up and be there and network, hang out with all of you guys. This is my first year going. If you've never gone, if you didn't go last year, make it out this year, Atlanta, Georgia. It's well worth your ticket price just for the education alone, not even to mention all the vendors and things you're going to get to see and the networking you're going to get to do. So come out and see us in Atlanta on February the 6th and the 7th at Synked Live, Cobb Galleria. We can't wait to see you there. Now let's get back to the show. what do you think on that? Because I know people say like, oh, end of year, let's work on our budget for next year. And for me, this is like my first time ever building a legit budget. So like for me, I'm still just figuring it out. But this time next year, I should really have way more stuff dialed in. But how what is your advice for editing budgets like throughout the season? Is it every 3 months, every month, every week? What does that look like?
Basically is you can't do it too often.
Yeah.
Meaning like annually is better than never. Quarterly is better than annually. Weekly is better than quarterly.
Yeah.
But the point is your budget should always be up to date to reality. So if suddenly fuel doubles, you should turn around immediately. Like, don't wait to the end of the quarter. Do it immediately. Go back in and edit and update your budget. Because if you basically the amount of time, let's say you wait 2 months or wait to the end of the year to update your budget and fuel has doubled. Well, your prices are not going to reflect that increase of overhead expense that you have until you go update your budget, which means that guess who's paying for that extra cost? You are. Your profit is.
You're losing profit, by not updating it. Yeah.
So by not updating your budget, it basically the tax that comes with not updating your budget is essentially your profits dwindle and you're working just as hard.
Yeah, that's something that stuck out to me through the process of like, hey, I've got to not only have I going to spend time making this thing, but I actually have to keep it updated because if I don't, then it's kind of null and void. Like there's no point in having it.
Putting it into shoe leather a little bit. What I would say is the way I would focus on that, not so I'm like opening up this thing every single week and there's no need for me to update anything because nothing changed since last week. So I wouldn't necessarily say, here, you got to update your budget weekly. No, I would rather say something like, be intimately familiar with the way your budget is built right now. Watch your P&L on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And if you're like, hey, I just spent $1,500 on bonuses for the guys because they worked super hard, but I know that wasn't in my budget. I'm going to go turn around and put that in my budget right now. Or fuel doubled. And I know that my budget was based on $3 a gallon. Now it's $5. So I'm going to go update that in my budget right now. So just be intimately familiar with the way your budget is built. And whenever anything changes or deviates from that, just go and update it, whether that's daily, weekly, or monthly, or quarterly. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that budget is up to date with reality.
Yeah, no, up to date with reality is a key. That's a key statement that I take away is like, what are we going through at the moment? Don't wait 6 months later. That's my thing. Is like as I get into this and I'm like, hey, this is really cool. This is fun data to see actually put in here, and it's very eye opening for me to realize like, hey, this is the stuff that we have. But it's not. It's kind of like it kind of holds you accountable almost in a way. I think a budget does is because like 3 months down the road you look back and you're like, well, I've spent way more than I've spent more than my annual budget was on a certain material or whatever you want to call it. Right. And that's something that I'm looking at is like, I see my overhead in front of me and I'm like, wow, when you see it all there at once, that's 15, 20, 30% of whatever your gross revenue might be, your total revenue by the end of the year. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like we got to get this dialed in. And it's like you said, you can either raise sales, sell more, or you just cut your expenses. And so for me, it's an eye-opening process, and this call is really just this podcast. I hope brings some value to you, in just the way of like, hey, get a budget if you don't have a budget. We're at a perfect time to do it, right? I mean, is there much of a better time to do it for 2023?
No, now's the best. The annual building of the budget for the future is for the next year is the big. Like I'm doing a webinar here at 4:00 on this exact topic.
Yeah. I wish this was a live stream.
Yeah, exactly. We can bring some more people in, but the theme of that is, okay, there's some chatter out there about 2023. What's it going to look like? We've come through an incredible run the last 2-3 years in the green industry. What's the future look like? There's some shakiness out there. Well, that is what it is. What we can do about it is be smart about it. And the theme I named this webinar is protect your profits. The way we protect our profits is make sure that we're not overburdened with overhead expenses. Like don't have too many overhead expenses for the revenue we're generating.
Yeah.
Because if you're in that situation, that's gonna leak you dry of cash. And if revenue drops, then you're turned into a cash flow problem really quickly. So the way, whether the economy backs off a bit or increases, the important part is that your budget is reflecting reality for you so that you can always protect your profits and you don't come into a situation where you don't realize that overhead spend has been the same, pedal to the metal, revenue is start to drop, or it's harder for me to close jobs. And now I got all this overhead spend, cash flow going out the door, and my funnel bringing the cash in the door has closed off a bit. And now I got a cash flow problem.
Yeah.
And so the whole point is making sure that I'm not too heavy in overhead expenses. And some people, here's the other kind of quandary with buying a software. Well, I need to protect my pennies. I'm not going to spend any money on software because I need to watch my pennies. And it's true. Like you don't want to just blindly spend money on any software out there, but it's more important now than ever to get your numbers in order, to get your house in order. Because if you don't, there's two mentalities out there. One, that I'm not going to spend money on software because it's another expense that I can minimize.
Yeah.
The other mentality is I can't do without it. I have to have this so I know the truth, so I can make educated decisions based on information instead of gut.
Yeah.
And I will cut my fancy new mower upgrade and I'll buy the software instead so I know my numbers, or whatever it is. But it's making intelligent, intentional decisions like that. It's really easy to buy the flashy new piece of equipment or truck or whatever it is. And I would suggest when there is uncertainty, stop investing and increasing your overhead spend on that flashy stuff, and do invest in making sure that you are set up to protect your profits and have your house in order for come what may.
Yeah. Yeah. And my thing if you're on the fence about getting into software, and that I'm like trying to be as open as I can, because this was me like 6 months ago. This was me of like, hey, this is a lot of money. Like this was me 2 months ago before I even did this. I was like, this is a lot of money. This is a lot of, especially going through the winter. Like I know how that is for everybody. You're not generating a ton. It's a lot of money, but it's not, and you can't look at it as an expense. First off, it's an investment. Because for me, the realization that I had that really made me like, okay, let's do this thing is, I looked at it and I said, okay, is this money that I'm not spending right now? It definitely is. But it's gonna generate me money that I'm not making right now either. And it's gonna generate me multiples of that money. And it's like, if you're billing right now and you're seeing you're having cash flow's good, you keep $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in your bank account. Oh man, we're doing good. We got money in the account, bills are paid, we're rocking and rolling. But it's like, okay, why would you do that when you're just not protecting your profits? It's like you said, the webinar is like, you could be a better name for it. That's the name that I voted for on the Instagram poll, because
right. Yeah.
that's the best name for it. And it's, if you're not protecting those, then you're leaving so much money on the table. I might spend $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 on SynkedUP or whatever software it is that you're using. I'm telling you, like, I think it should be SynkedUP. But anyway, you're going to spend that much in a year on that, but it's going to generate you multiples, like $50,000, $60,000 in profit in your that's the thing that people need to get in their head, is it's not what you're getting paid, it's profit that the company is going to have in this bank account after you've been paid. Like, and that's the thing that people don't realize, is it's after everything and everyone gets paid. People say that all the time, but stop and let that sink in for a minute. Like, in this budget, I'm looking at my salary, what I'm going to get paid as a W-2 employee of the company, but then there's going to be 16% left in profit sitting in the company's bank account
after you've been paid. That's the beautiful part.
But that's the realization that everyone needs to have, is it's after everyone's been paid. So that's it. So it's so easy to be put it this way. Business is all about figuring out, how can I spend $1 and make 2, 5, or 10 back? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And software is 100% one of those that I mean, I see it all the time. This is not just me saying it. I see this over and over and over again, where a company comes in, they buy SynkedUP. Yes, they're spending $5,000 a year, $400 a month, whatever. And they turn around and make, literally, I just talked to a guy that made 6 figures in net profit in his first year of using
after
SynkedUP.
He's been paid. Let that sink in. After he's been paid. Like,
yes. And so the difference is like, yes, you're spending money, but you're making it back
multiples
in multiples. And for many people out there, this, there's many different layers where this return can come in at. For some, it's like, well, unbillable man hours. For some, it's like, oh, wow, I was way over in overhead. Or for some, it's like, oh, wow, I'm spending way more in overhead than I realized. So there's many different layers of this animal. People, each individual out there will have their return on investment come back in slightly different channels. But for most of you, for the majority of the industry out there, I should say, that you can make back your initial investment in the software and then some, just by building your budget in the software.
100%, 100% agree.
That's not even to mention, oh, now I know my unbillable hours. Oh, now I can make an educated decision on how to minimize those unbillable man hours. Oh, now I realize that I'm cutting Mrs. Jones' lawn for a loss because I tracked it. That's before we even get into that.
Yeah, it's not even improving inefficiencies. It's just saying, hey, look, I agree. We've got 120 seconds here because you got to go. We got a hard stop. I've kept you too long. But okay, so if you want to sign up with SynkedUP, what is the process? I've got a link in the bio, in the show notes today, not in the bio. The link in the show notes will take you straight to the website. After that, you book a demo, right, and go from there?
Right. Yeah, so you can reach out to us on synkedup.com. That's SYNKEDUP.com. Or you can DM me on Instagram as well at SynkedUp, and we can get you started. But the process is you book a demo, we show you the system, we answer your questions. On the demo, our goal is not to convince you that you need it. Our goal is to show you what it does, and our job is to give you the information that you need to decide whether it's a good fit for you or not. That's our job. We're not here to do a hard sell. And then after that, it's we kick things into gear. We do the budget. We build your budget. And not only, like, Jeremiah's not out there doing this on his own. Like, we have a team of experts behind us that are helping you, walking with you, holding your hand, asking you those questions like, hey, wait, I don't see this in here. Like, we're helping you build your budget with you to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure. And
which
then
is the
it's
value.
all the implementation stuff. Yeah,
that's where the value is, because, and I can 100% attest to that, because I know that, like, if I couldn't have done that by myself, I couldn't have built the budget the way, I couldn't have built it accurately by myself, at least, because Chris, the guy that helped me with setup, he was like, we need to change these. You need to change your hours to partly unbillable because you're not going to be in the field. Those are things that I wouldn't have realized because I've never built a legit budget before. Like I said, I've never sat down and really plugged stuff in like this. It's always been like, hey, this is what competition does, this, that, and the other. We'll rock and roll. We'll have cash flow and we'll make some profit. So I'm happy we're doing this. I'm a paying user of the product. I'm telling you, it's worth it. You can click the link. It'll take you straight to SynkedUP, and you can get set up from there. Looking forward to having Weston back on for many shows to come. A lot of more things to come up. But I think, Weston, thanks for your time today, man. I know you got to run.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for making the time. It's always fun talking with you, and hopefully the person that needed to hear this hears this and save their business because of it. I truly believe that will happen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, guys. So Weston had to run there. That was a hard stop. He had to be in another meeting before his webinar this afternoon. And we had already held him. But I tell you what, this is just like such truth that we talked today on the episode, and it's not anything that I'm trying to sell you on. It's me trying to say, hey, let's transform our businesses together. Let's transform our lives together. And the easy part of transitioning to SynkedUP is you break out your credit card, and this is what Weston said right after we record here, and I had to bring it back onto the show. It's why I'm continuing this ending. Is he said the easy part of transitioning to software is whipping out the credit card, swiping it, and signing up for the software. The hard part is actually implementing it, actually using it, staying disciplined, and using it throughout the year in your business, and keeping those values updated, tracking your hours, things like that. And that is what's going to be the hard part. It's not the paying for it. You can put that on auto draft and it comes out the first of every month and you're done. That's not a problem. It's the keeping up with it. And that's something that we are definitely going to have to learn and grow into, is figuring that stuff out as we put guys out in the field, making sure they're tracking their hours the right way and reporting everything the right way, keeping up with materials. Like it's going to be business transforming. I'm 100% positive of it. And so I don't want this to be a SynkedUP sales pitch. That's not what I want from this at all. I just want you to hear the value of what we're seeing, what I'm seeing in building the budget that we just went through. And I know we went a lot of different directions in that show, but I just wanted to say, like, the value of the budget building was worth the sign up, the onboarding cost alone, and then throughout the year, the expense of the software. It's in that budget, seeing everything laid out there for you. It's like, hey, this is so eye-opening, and having people literally handhold you along the way. If you don't know what you're doing, then that's okay. Like they don't expect you to know everything. They have a great team built there that literally handheld me through the process and was like, hey, let's do this, let's change that, let's fix this. And so I am So excited to see what the future holds, and it's going to be a very, very fun year in 2023 ahead. So, like we said, you can click the link in the show notes today. It'll take you straight to the SynkedUP's website. Just book a demo. Just book a demo with Weston. Figure it out. Go through the software, see what it has to offer, see if it's a good fit for you. I want to get more lawn maintenance business owners on this trend of, hey, let's actually legitimately know our numbers and track our numbers throughout the year. It's not just, hey, let's build a budget. You can build a budget for free anywhere. I know that. There's lots of free budgeting tools or whatever, but it's not somebody hand walking you through the process of, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we are seeing. They have hundreds of users that are seeing, so they can have people to build off of this is what industry standards are. And so it's just, I think the value's in that alone, and it's building the budget, but then also tracking it throughout the year. And so we're excited to see what the future holds there. Sorry if this sounded like a SynkedUP sales pitch. That's not what I wanted it to be. But we have some more stuff in the future. As we walk through this process, we're going to keep talking about it here on the show, and hopefully to get some more people over here and get their numbers straightened out so they can change their lives and their businesses in the future. But for a good Friday show to end the year, this was our last show of 2022. I hope it was a good one. I hope this fired you up and inspired you. 2022 was a great year for us. We did a first 2022 debrief on Monday's show, and just kind of walked through the year, what all we went through. There was a lot of big business highs. There were some lows, but we did a lot of our biggest things, and a lot of biggest projects, and spent made the most money we've ever made, things like that. So it's just so fun to see my business growing. I love seeing y'all's businesses growing. Everyone that we get to talk to and message back and forth with, it's an honor to get here. We're wrapping up another year. This is our first full year doing the podcast, 3 shows a week. Like we've put out 52 weeks. That's 160, 170 episodes in one calendar year. And so for me, it's such an honor. It's such a privilege. I say thank you a lot, but I can't say it enough. I don't feel like. Thank you for tuning in. I hope it helped you in some way, shape, or form this episode today and all the other 160 episodes that we did in the last year of 2022. Hope it was a great one. Hope 2023 starts off even better. Be smart. Go out there, build your budget, crush your numbers, crush your business, crush your life, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.